Hello, my name is Ryan White, and I own 360 Accounting LLC. And yeah, accounting is what I do right now, and I help companies. We're building partnerships with companies to have better financial records and just anything to do with the office or accounting experience is really what I've been doing for the last 15 years or so. So.
How did you get into the accounting field?
Accounting? Well, after my first year in college, I went for a summer to go visit my dad, and my uncle picked me up at the airport, and he had a Navigator, brand new Navigator, and he had this big mansion and all this. It seemed like he knew what he was doing, so I was talking to him, and he's like, "What are you doing in school?" I'm like, "Well, I really want to be a math teacher. I want to teach math, because at the time, math was my strongest suit." And he said, "Well, if you want to do something where you make money, do accounting." I'm like, "Okay." Accounting has numbers and stuff too, I guess. So I didn't really know much about accounting, but listening to my uncle, he seemed to be pretty well off, and out of a lot of my family members. So I listened to him when it came to potential future endeavors, like building, having a career that would be lucrative and profitable and support my lifestyle, and also it's been fun too. So my uncle, he convinced me to get the accounting degree. So yeah, I went to school and got my accounting degree, and then after that, I had a couple of different accounting careers, and that led me to here. So.
What industry have you worked in the most with your accounting experience?
I worked at Glenwood Ford Subaru for about 10 years, and that was my longest career as the controller for them. And controllers, it's pretty high up there, so it was they gave me a chance at the controller position. I got really lucky on timing and what have you, and I seemed to demonstrate to them that I could fulfill obligations for my employment and things like that. And I had really great mentorship with Jeff Carlson, Steve Nilsson, that whole group, and they were top of their field and the field as well in the automotive industry. So I learned a lot about the automotive industry during that 10 years. So,
what was a major success in your career that you would like to share?
Well, for me, kind of a value that I've had since I had my accounting degree is persistence, and you just never give up, because when you give up, that's when everything stops. So there's been a few times we opened up some dealerships and we had to work. There's one time I worked 14 days straight, 2 Sundays in a row, and then but that was a time where I really had to work, and we had to open up dealerships. We had customers to service and employees to pay, and we had obligations. So it was not easy opening up a dealership, but there's lots of things to think about: IT, telecom, and customers, and credit card setup, and banking, and a lot of different things that come in effect there. So I think once I demonstrated to the automotive group dealers that I was able to do that, they kind of handed me more reins, and they trusted me with many other things too. And I kept up to date with their deadlines. Sometimes you have to work a little late if you're not caught up. There's things always happen too. So, but persistence, just don't ever give up. So that can go a long way in a lot of aspects where I've excelled in life, I guess.
Do you have any particular failures that have taught you the most?
Yeah, I've had some of those throughout my life too. It's part of life and living, is you're gonna have wins and losses and failures, and like Thomas Edison, I forgot how many failures he had before the light bulb actually worked, but you have them, they're learning experiences. And there was one time where throughout the year we were calculating managers and owner commissions, and the spreadsheet got messed up somewhere along the point, and about 5-6 months later it was caught. Well, guess who paid the entire management staff? Well, not the entire, but the new and used car dealer staff, that staff, which is half of the staff, managers and owners, they didn't get paid as much, and some got paid a little more. So after 5-6 months, it really adds up, and that was something hard to communicate to the owners, but and it was it was something I should have caught and we could have caught, but I just kept going. So don't be afraid to speak up. Or if you do make a mistake, it's harder to break, but the sooner you break it, the better. Because I remember when I brought it to Steve's attention, I was disappointed in myself. There's one month when I didn't calculate interest on the cars, because new dealers, they don't own the cars, they pay interest to the dealers. So there some dealers that can be $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 in one expense, and if you forget that for a month, the financial statements, they look pretty good. And there was a couple times definitely once I forgot, and the next time I always caught it. But that's you gotta learn from your mistakes. So
what advice would you give to someone maybe considering going into the auto industry, or specifically with accounting in the auto industry?
Well, I can talk about the automotive industry. Definitely, if you're interested in getting out of the automotive industry, it's a solid chunk of the national, GOPD. Automotive industry is huge. I'm about to get in a car and go to, Jackson Hole and then Colorado and then back to Oregon. You probably got here in a car today. If you're watching this, you probably were in a car today. So cars aren't going away, and the population's only going to increase. So the automotive industry is still a good industry to be in. Doesn't matter if you're a salesperson, a finance, or a used car, if you're in the service department or the parts department. There's lots of areas in the dealership you can thrive in, and they're really competitive. But you do have to work a lot too. I mean, sometimes you have to work putting your time there, but you make some pretty good money, and that's ultimately why I left there, is because I was in a point in time in my life where I wanted a little more freedom. But yeah, if you're interested and you want to make some money, the automotive dealership is a good way to do it, because they do a lot for the community, and they do a lot for the customers and for the world, really. So yeah, it's a good industry to be in. I can't complain.
Nice. For the young adults out there that are just trying to figure out potential career paths for themselves, could you give a bit of general advice, maybe in a way that you would tell your younger self, thinking of yourself back when you were 21, 22, just getting started? What kind of advice would you give yourself back then?
Ooh, well, let me think about that one. Well, I don't know. I mean, I like the whole way my life is played out, but if I had some good advice back then, it would be, again, just don't give up. Don't give up on things. Try things, and don't be afraid to listen to yourself. And if you're not sure where to go, meditate. Always, clear your mind, and a lot of times when you just clear your mind, things will come to you as they should. And there's lots of different things you can do, and meditating will help you with that. If you're lost and not sure what to do, but try things and don't listen. Some people they like to tell you, oh, you know what, maybe you should go to school and become a doctor or a lawyer. Maybe that'll help you a little bit, but don't be afraid if someone says, hey, you're not smart enough to be an accountant or a doctor or a lawyer, or you're not smart enough to be a manager there, or you don't have the right education to do this and that. Just don't listen to that, because that's BS, honestly. Some of the best controllers I've had the pleasure of working with started out as receptionists with no formal secondary education after high school. So don't be afraid to ask. That's another thing. Just, if you think you're ready for a raise or you want a promotion, ask. And then if it works out, make sure you're happy. That's the other thing, make sure you're really happy in life and with your choices. And you're not going to be happy all the time with some of those choices. Sometimes make good and bad choices, but don't be afraid to make those big choices. Like a lot of my friends, like Altai here, he's done some big, great things, and he's not afraid either. So yeah, definitely don't be afraid to make choices and go out there and do what makes you happy.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome.